papainit asermulo ang nakakawangis papawis sa lumbay at mga hilagpis babalik ka sa pagkakaamang maglaylay sipang sadyang busina tanglaw sa landas na iyong pinatahak Pilipinis mo'y gabay sa pangarap sulong.
Ang araw po sa lahat at ito ay isang very, I would say, tumultuous moment in our world history and Philippine history. Of course, a lot of people's concern is focused on what's happening sa GCash right now. Pero dito sa ating mga breaking news, marami din pong mga bagong developments na aking pinasok just this morning, just the past 15 minutes, including the situation in Amsterdam kung saan nag-false flag ang mga Israeli, gumawa ng gulo. At binibintang na naman sa mga Arabo. It's good there are still honest reporters all over the world trying to report the truth about this. In the US naman po, again, they're trying to create a situation for an attack on Iran by the United States by creating a false flag po doon of alleged Iranian-backed assassins against Trump, which is of course ridiculous. At Iran has been consistently for the past over 50 years, if I'm not mistaken, mga 45 years, avoiding war with the US because it has other higher priorities of building up their nation and serving its people, and today working with BRICS to build a better world. But mabuti, nagtutulungan po tayo dito na labanan po yung mga elemento galing sa kanluran, the Western warmongers po, the Western racist factions, and I think we have been winning along with all the other advocates for equality among humanity. Kaado, good morning. He's going to have a busy day pala si Kaado. May taping pala mamaya kahit linggo po. And we have a sort of a consultation mamayang lunchtime. Ka Daniel will be joining us. Ka Daniel is very concerned about the GCash situation and the Amsterdam situation, but he has left the room again, but maybe he'll be coming back in a while. Okay, dito muna sa breaking news this morning, aking idinagdag po, which we will go to later on, the report about the economy and crime. Ito po ang nasa screen ko. I don't know if Joshua can take a look, but it is also in my slides later on. Itong SWS families survey, families victimized by common crimes, cyber crimes increase. Ipapasok ko sana yung report na Marbil or the PNP is claiming that crime is going down under BBM, but this clearly contradicts it, no? Dito naman sa ating foreign policy, itong si Coco Pimentel ay nagsalita na dapat ang Pilipinas ay sumali sa BRICS. Andito na din sa screen ko. Ayan, nalagay na po ni Kadyo, so very quickly. So at ang ating institute, ang ating think tank has been right on track since 2016 when we established the Philippine BRICS Strategic Studies Institute. Kaya lang po binago natin ang pangalan to Asian Century Philippines Strategic Studies Group or Institute. Dahil po sa COVID-19 at hindi po tayo makapag-report nung 2 taon at kalahati at yung penalty para mag-revive po nung ating corporate registration sa SEC ay pandagdag sa ating financial burden, kaya po nagtatag po ng bagong institute tayo. Okay, dito naman sa China-Philippine relations, of course, kontrobersya po itong maritime law na inaprubahan po. Ang aking sabi po tungkol dito, ito ay continuation ng lawfare, na nagsimula po noong 2014 nung nag-file ang Pilipinas ng kaso sa arbitration court. Lawfare, using the law for the warfare of the United States at sunod-sunuran ng Pilipinas. But of course, as the original lawfare, yung arbitration awards and arbitration case has never prospered. At yung pangako po ni Carpio dun sa arbitration na China will be forced to comply has not materialized in over 8 years na po, at least 8 years na. So this is going to go nowhere. Territorial issues are resolved by dialogue and compromise or some practical arrangements agreed upon or by force. And by force, of course, naglolokohan lang po tayo kung ating paniniwalaan sila Browner, sila Gibo Teodoro at ang mga Raymond Powell and Greg Polling na sa suporta ng Estados Unidos ay kaya ng Pilipinas na sunggabin ang mga teritoryong inaangkin ng Pilipinas. That is not going to happen in even through eternity. But anyway, yung mga laro ng Amerikano dito with their proxies will go on, and we will be here to keep exposing them and defeating them. Okay, and sa Trump situation po, of course, we are infused with hope na lahat po narinig po natin kay Trump tungkol sa kapayapaan sa mundo at ang kanyang laban sa gera ay maging totoo. Pero hindi po ganyan kasimple dahil po meron tayong mga nababalitaan at nangangampanya, naglalabi po ang sino-sino mang mga kakampi po ng gera dyan sa Estados Unidos na si Pompeo ay tinutulak ng war factions and ng mga Israeli lobby, Zionist lobby na malagay po ulit as State Department Chief. Ito po si dating US Democrat, I think he's still Democrat, but he is supporting or he has supported Trump and RFK Jr. Si Dennis Kucinich, who is, I don't know if he won sa Congress or the US Senate, he ran in this election. And he is repeating, this is November 9, yesterday lang po, matapos na po na ang panalo po ni Trump. Parang pinapaalala niya kay Trump, Trump must end wars, and veteran US Democrat says. Dito naman po sa atin, we will discuss yung ating nailabas na mga komentaryo po sa Manila Times. Tinapat po ng reporter doon sa mga pinagsasabi ni Raymond Powell. Nangangatog na po itong mga warmongers po sa Pilipinas dahil po ang direksyon ni Trump ay de-escalation sa mga gera, risking, if we can use his the trade war term, and delinking from all these war engagements. So, yan ang mga breaking news this morning. But let's get a bit of introduction from Ado kung anong top of mind niya today. Kado?
Well, diretso na ako dyan sa maritime law na yan. 2 years ago pa natin, 3 years ago pa natin in-expose. And more vigorously when this idiot, Francis Tolentino, filed his own version of the maritime law. So, this is nothing but the paper tiger. Kasi this is just a follow-up to Republic Act 9522 na reconfigure ng ating baselines. No? And here in the maritime law, there's nothing new about it. What we have done is just legitimize our exclusive economic zones from the Philippine perspective, drawn from the United Nations Convention on the Laws of the Seas. But effectively, wala naman ho tayong new base, wala naman tayong new territory, kundi within 12 nautical miles of those baselines established in 2009 and which was supported by the Supreme Court with Antonio Carpio as the ponente. So ito ho ay conforming Philippine laws to only one treaty, which is UNCLOS. And isa lang naman hong treaty yan, mga kabansa, among 250,000 other treaties in the world that predated the UNCLOS. So wala hong epekto yan sa foreign relations natin, except that we are hardlining on a lie, number one, which China will not tolerate. So hanggang doon lang ho tayo sa 12 nautical miles natin dito sa ating western configuration. Sa kanan pwede, dahil it's a wide open sea, Benham Rise and all that, no? Pero dito sa kaliwa, as we bump our heads against China, Vietnam, Brunei, Malaysia, and even Taiwan, eh wala hong naidulot yan kundi sakit ng ulo. Bakit po? Dahil nawalan po tayo, effectively, ng 900,000 square kilometers of sovereignty. Bakit po? Dahil yung 30 treaty na nakuha natin sa Amerika nung tayo maging independent, mga kabansa, which is the Treaty of Paris of 1898, drew treaty limits sa Pilipinas. And this is very obvious when you look at the map yan sa Google. Meron nung parang kwadrado naka-frame ang entire Luzon up to Palawan and up to Surigao. At sa ilalim, yung Washington Treaty of 1900, drino yung mga islands doon sa katimugan between Borneo, North Borneo, and the Philippines. Papakalaki po yun. E dinisregard po yun ng Baselines Law of 9522. Ang ginawa ng Baselines Law, dinisregard yung kwadrado na yon at nilagay ang ating baselines as close as possible to our shores. So there is a contradiction now. Because insofar as this bagong maritime law is concerned, ang effectivity ng ating sovereignty can only go as far as 12 nautical miles dito sa kanluran facing China. Eh dati mas malaki pa. So dyan po sa treaty limits na walan tayo ng 830 sovereignty. 830,000 nautical square kilometers. At doon naman sa Spratlys, nawalan tayo ng 70,000 square kilometers, mga kabansa, ng claim na pwede nating i-negotiate with China. Eh, hindi ho nakikinig itong ating mga politiko eh. Kung ano lamang ang basbas ng Amerikano, ay pinatutubuan naman natin ang balbas. So, this is a continuing lie which our historians ought to take note and correct in the future. And this is why we should not elect idiots and crocodiles into our Congress. Kasi puro kagaguhan ang ginagawa nila. So lumaki nga sa papel ang ating karapatan, ika nga, pero pagdating naman po sa real life, sa implementation, ay hindi natin maisasagawa. At tinatuan natin ang ating historic rights. Bakit? Because we don't want to recognize China's historic rights. Bakit tayo? Why did we commit that political suicide on our geopolitics? Dahil sa kagustuhan ng mga tuta ng Amerikano. Yan mga kabansa, dahil pagkaya ng ating sinundan mga kabansa, magkakaroon ng puwang between the 200 nautical miles zone ng China and other countries and our 200 nautical miles of so-called exclusive economic zone, where we only can benefit from what is under the water. So doon sa gitna ngayon, magkakaroon ng space at magkakaroon ng maluwag na allowance ang mga gobyerno ng mga puti, yung mga members ng Five Eyes, Amerikano, Australiano, Britannia, New Zealander, yung mga yan, maglayag dyan sa gitna. So wala ho yan na economic benefit sa Pilipinas. Gulo. More gulo with China ang indudulot yan. Thank you.
Okay, I think yan po ang malinaw po na ginagawa ng Amerikano. China-channel ang Pilipinas, na kontrolado po nila sa kasalukuyan, patungo doon sa landas ng pakikipaggera po sa China, na tulad ng Ukraine po ay isasakripisyo po tayo para sa panandaliang tactical intensyon ng Estados Unidos. Meron akong tinranslate na message dito from French. Good morning. Please stay tuned to this GTNR program led by the highly respected Mentong. Thank you very much. The discussion gives us an update on the real facts and the truth about the latest news. That's what we always try to do. But magandang segue po itong susunod to what Ado has just explained, about our situation and dito sa South China Sea dispute na pinapalaki at parang pinapako po ng mga Amerikano dito sa direksyon ng pakikipagbanggaan, samantalang actually one of the breaking news that I did not read is Indonesia po na meron ding mga territorial issues sa China. Nandoon po si President Prabowo sa China at this very moment shaking hands with President Xi Jinping. But we will have more on ASEAN and the Philippines later on. So ang segue na bagay po dito ay itong ating one of the lead stories, yung sabi po ni Romeo P. Pocis, time for a military solution. Ito po, nasa screen na po ninyo ang kanyang post, November 5. Corruption, military solution in the making. Sabi ni General Romeo V. Pocis, corruption is so pervasive in and out of government, it is now a normal occurrence. It was even institutionalized by Congress through pork barrel allocations, congressional insertions, liquidation by certification, need Lacson of course, kickbacks, bribery, etc. It is evolving into a culture and very soon a national security problem. Actually, it is already a national security problem. Worse, it is turning into a national menace, destroying the economic, social, and moral fiber of the country and the people. Yes, pati po ang entire economy po natin ay kino-convert into a gambling economy. Kunwari pa, ibaba ng POGOs, samantalang pinapakalat naman po at kumakalat po ang iba't ibang klaseng mga gambling po. On a daily basis, the people who give money to the government in the form of taxes are abused instead of being served. The government leaders who partake of the money for themselves and their families wallow in luxury, while the people suffer and are left in the fringes in abject poverty. The dire situation is turning the suffering people hopeless and may soon crave for extreme measures. An unsolicited advice, the commander-in-chief must put his feet firmly on the ground and intently listen to the people. He must immediately undertake strong measures to stop corruption at all levels. Meron pang mahaba po yan, pero I went to the conclusion. What is the alternative to inaction? Sabi ni retired General Romeo V. Poques. If the situation worsens and reaches its breaking point, come the natural solution, military. This solution may be harsh, deplorable, and unconstitutional, but will be necessary and acceptable to protect the people. On this point, I disagree with General Poques. This solution is not harsh, it's not deplorable, and it's not unconstitutional. And of course, it is necessary and acceptable because the present situation is the harsh situation for for tens of millions of our people in poverty, in hunger. It is the most deplorable this situation that we have under BBM and Tambalos laws and Gibo Chodoro. And everything they're doing is unconstitutional. So final question ni General Romeo Poques, sabi niya, how? How is this military solution? The AFP will declare withdrawal of support to the commander-in-chief or an officer like Captain Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso will rise to the occasion to rescue the people. That is what has been my message for several months already. And the example he cited of Captain Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, who upon seizing power, cut the ties with France, nationalized the uranium industry and all other assets of the nation, and is now leading the country of Burkina Faso to a new era of hope and development. Yan po ang talagang kailangan po natin. That is why my appeal has been to the military. Our appeal has been to the military. Exercise your consciences and take action and be guided by all these ideological preparation that we and others have made for the restoration of the health of our Philippine society. So it was a very appropriate segue. Ito naman para dito pa, kasi po si Ka Danny Long pumasok po kanina sa diskusyon but she left again, but he wanted to make a point na kailangan bigyan ng atensyon itong ginagawa ng Israeli or ng mga Zionists doon sa Amsterdam football games na nanggulo po. Sila po ang nanggulo, mga Zionists. Sila po ang nanira po ng mga Palestinian flags doon. Sila po ang nambugbog and so on. Pero ang international media po ay nire-report na mga Arabo daw ang may kagagawan. But ito po si Hanta Ka, reporter ng India, ay nag-post po nito at nagulat po siya. Stunning act by Sky News, which is Australian, which is tied to the Five Eyes, which is tied to the Western and Zionist alliance, deletes honest reporting on Amsterdam to save Israel. I had the name of this young reporter lady, but we will not go into details anymore. We can discuss it a bit later, but Zionism is already on the way out of human history, and no better time to celebrate it. No? But we will get into that later on sa ating reports and updates on Israel. Dito naman sa mga kasama po natin, our colleagues who have been writing on various issues, si Ana Malindogoy po ang susunod po dito sa ating ulat. Guizzo's Journey in Sustainable Growth and Poverty Reduction offers inspiring lessons. So if you have time, please visit the Manila Times column of Ana Malindog Uy. Okay. Ang ating Bisayan colleague naman po, si June Abines, may magandang sinulat po sa kanyang post, sa kanyang account, sa kanyang Facebook. And sabi niya, Malacanang, we have a problem with Donald Trump winning the 47th President of the United States. President Bongbong Marcos Jr. is in deep, deep shit. Whatever the deep state had promised him in exchange of betraying the Filipino people is now in limbo. President Trump is an anti-deep state. He is anti-war, and he promised to reverse whatever the deep state did in the last 4 years. That includes PBBM's wish to get his father's stolen wealth now deposited in banks around the world. Secondly, Trump may recall most U.S. forces around the world, and the EDCA forces will likely be included. PBBM will no longer be protected by the deep state from all crimes he did in the last 2 years against the Filipino people. The AFP and PNP will soon be the deciding factor. Again, it's the military. Kayo po ang hinihintay ng bayan po. With no American forces ensuring PBBM's protection, the Marcos loses its ace and will be vulnerable to coup or people's uprising. Make no mistake about it, the Filipino people are angry. Very, very angry. If a real survey be made, what they want to do with the Marcoses and Romualdezes, a 90% vote of hanging them in public is very possible. That includes their minions. Yan po. And mabuti po na marinig po ninyo ang mensahe din ni Ginoong June Abines right after the messages from retired General Romeo Poques. Si Mauro Samonte naman po, sa kanyang column kahapon po ay pinuri po ang pagkapanalo ni Trump at sabi niya ay panalo po ng mundo. You can visit the article po. It's a very, very well written article supporting the general sentiment that Trump will be withdrawing from wars all over the world, including Asia and of course the Philippines. Ito naman yung aking komentaryo na lumabas po sa Manila Times sa report po nila Franco Jose, Franco Baronia, Joe Ismael, and the Agence France Press na pinagsama po na report na tinapat po ang mga sinabi po ni Raymond Powell sa mga sinabi ko. So it's a very interesting contrast in the views, which of course I echo the sentiment that Trump will likely be good for the anti-war efforts po ng Pilipino. At pagbabalik po sa independent foreign policy ng Pilipino. But of course, we have to work hard like our allies in the United States, inside the United States, are working hard to fight off the pressure, the lobbying, from the donor class, which is mainly the Zionist donor class and the warmongers. So, yan po. I will not read the details kasi it's now 8:29. We have 40 other items to breeze through. So, I'll move on. Well, ito na ulat natin as one of the breaking news. Time for Philippines to join BRICS to fortify status in multipolar global power structures as COCO, but advice to you, Senator Coco, kulang yung grandstanding, kailangan aksyon, kailangan i-advocate mo ang pagkakalas po ng Pilipinas sa tanikala po ng Estados Unidos dahil po hindi papayag ang Amerika na sumali ang kanyang mga vassal states, ang mga alipin niyang mga bansa dyan sa BRICS. Kaya po, do your homework, Senator Coco Pimentel, but you're on the right track. Even if you don't acknowledge the guidance that you get from other people. While of course, sa Pilipinas po, ginagawang malaking issue po yung dispute sa South China Sea. na napakahina naman po ang basehan po ng ina-argue ng mga Philippine politicians. No? Ito po, an ASEAN, as two ASEAN countries that have similar disputed sea area between Cambodia and Thailand. Pero ito po, si Prime Minister Shinawat, ano? The first name I have not memorized, very long first name. Anak po ni Shinawat, dating Prime Minister Shinawat na Taksin Shinawatra. And ito po ay ulat po para ipakita po that these disputes are very normal and hindi po naman pinapalaki ng mga bansa na may mga disputes because they are resolved through dialogue and diplomacy. Unless you want war, which is of course what the Americans want for the Philippines to get into a war with the United States, with China. No? But between Thailand and Cambodia, andito po ang Prime Minister po nila, the 2001 Memorandum of Understanding between Thailand and Cambodia grabbed public attention after observers pointed out that if the document is used as a basis for negotiations on managing marine resources in the overlapping claims area, the Thai government risks losing sovereignty over COCs. Anyway, we don't know the details. We won't go into the details. But the point is, they're discussing it diplomatically. Ito, yung maritime law, napag-usapan na po natin. We will not dwell too long on this, but Marcos signs maritime law to fortify sovereign rights. The two newly signed laws were the Republic Act 12064 or the Maritime Zones Law and the RA 120665 or the Archipelagic Lines. Sabi daw ni Escudero dito, once the National Mapping and Resource Information Authority, NAMRIA, comes out with a new Philippine map and its maritime territory pursuant to those acts, Escudero says the country will be able to effectively enforce its laws. Of course, natawa na si Kaado kasi po kung yung Teresa Magbanwa Philippine Coast Guard ship ay napalayas po ng China na wala po magawa ang Amerikano at ang Philippine Coast Guard and Navy, ano pa bang enforcement ang gagawin mo? But ito naman sa baba, nilagay ko na yung sa Inquirer of the date I cannot see, but earlier report, Tolentino not expecting China's instant recognition of Philippine maritime laws. Tolentino, it is never going to recognize it, lalo na kung binabangga nyo ang posisyon ng China. So it just makes a comic out of all these politicians natin sa Senado and of course the President in Malacanang. Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Napakalinaw sa arbitral ruling. Napakalinaw. Kaya lang, hindi nila binabasa. Yung basta Amerikano sinusundan nila. Paragraph 272 lamang po, mga kabansa. Because the tribunal considers the question of historic rights with respect to maritime, opportune to note that certain claims excuse me, that certain claims remain unaffected by this decision. Idiot Tolentino, idiot Escudero, idiot kayo lahat dyan, idiot Presidente, idiot Tambaluslos. In particular, sabi ng arbitral ruling, the tribunal emphasizes that nothing in this award should be misunderstood, should be understood. Well, to amend the historic rights and a claim of historic rights to living and non-living resources, nor does it nullifies China's sovereignty claims. In effect, removing the asymmetry, ayan mga kabansa, sinasabi natin, meron hong asymmetry. a very basic dissonance between China's sovereignty claims, pag-aari sa ating sovereign rights claim, karapatan sa economic benefits. Pwede ba kayo, mga kabansa, tumira na lamang sa garahe ng kapitbahay nyo at sabihin nyo na, ba, ako'y Pilipino rin. May karapatan akong matulog dito sa garahe mo. Hindi pwede yun. So, huwag nating gaguhin, huwag nating lokohin ang Pilipino. Ha? It has nothing to do. Everything about the arbitral ruling is about UNCLOS, maritime. Okay. But maritime rights cannot supersede sovereignty based on land. And I think ang succeeding article which you are going to comment on has everything to do about this, itong British author. So I give back to you.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Meron na po tayong natanggap na libro at I'm passing on one of my copies to Kaado to read through and write an article on. I passed on another copy to our colleague Lawrence Xiao to review din and to pick out all the annotations that are and references that are important on the issue of the Nansha or the Spratly Islands, ano. Kasi po itong libro ni lumabas na ang English version ni John Anthony Carty, who is a British historian who used to of course from London, but in 2008 I think or 2009 I read through his brief biographical background po niya. He decided to focus on this South China Sea issue and examine in particular the government position of France and Britain. And he found in the archives the confirmation that France and Britain has since the 19th century really accepted that the Paracels Islands and the Spratlys or the Nansha Islands are part of China or are owned by China or are proper possessions of China. Anyway, this one a quote I got from him. Historic titles and rights are recognized under the UNCLOS, and China declared in 2006 that under Article 298 it would not be party to arbitration regarding historic base and titles. Quoting Carty himself, I have found my research in archives quite astonishing. Referring to his findings, among the records he said he has uncovered is a legal opinion by a British Foreign Secretary or Foreign Office from the 1970s. The report, which is now digitally available, was presented to the British cabinet and then Prime Minister James Callaghan. Carty said the British record proves there is no dispute regarding the Nansha Islands and that China is the sole title holder. This British record, quote, is not just the opinion of an individual lawyer. This is the product of an immense amount of research that the Foreign Ministry did in London. They investigated all of their archives and all of the correspondence they had with other countries for a period of 100 years. Ganyan po kahaba po ang record ng mga dokumento ni John Anthony Carty. Yes, go ahead.
Sisimplify ko lamang para sa ating mga kabansa na wala namang access din sa libro na yan. Pag-aaralan pa natin, susulat natin para magkaroon kayo ng connection. Ito lamang ho Noong World War II, in-invade ho ng Japan ang Paracels Nansha, Hainan, Ratas Islands, Pescadores, lahat ho ng mga islas dyan sa South China Sea. In-invade ho yan. Sinakop ng Japan. Alam niyo yan, mga kabansa. Pati nga Pilipinas. Pati nga Pilipinas, di ba sinakop ng Japan? Okay, sa, ah, sa, nung nag-retire ng mga properties, after the war, ang Pilipinas ibinalik sa US. O alam niyo yan, mga kabansa, di ho ba? Binalik ng Japan sa US ang Pilipinas. Bakit? Dahil bago niya invade ng Pilipinas, sakop yan ng Amerikano. At noong 1946 pa lamang po tayo nagkaroon ng independence from the United States. Ito ang tanong mga kabansa. Ito na lang. Huwag na tayong magligal-ligal kung anong kalukuhan pa niya. Kanino isinauli ng Hapon ang mga teritoryo na yan? O, sa Malaysia ba? Sa Vietnam ba? Sa Brunei ba? Sa Taiwan ba? Sa mga Amerikano ba? Hindi ho mga kabansa. Isinauli ho ng Japan yan sa China. Unang-una, noong 1952, dahil wala pa noon ang People's Republic of China, sinauli muna niya yan sa Republic of China. At ang Republic of China po noon, nasa Taiwan, nakabase. Pero noong 1972, when 1 year after the United Nations recognized the People's Republic of China, ang naging successor and interest po niya ay People's Republic of China. Yung bang kasunduan noong 1952 sa Republic of China, covered by a treaty? Yes. That is what we call the Taipei, the Treaty of Taipei. Yung paglipat ba na sa People's Republic of China, was it covered by a treaty between Japan and China? The answer again is yes. Because right after 1971, when the United Nations recognized that China is the only one China and is the only recognized government of China by the United Nations, nagpirmahan in 1972 ng communique ang Japan at People's Republic of China establishing diplomatic relations, and the Potsdam Declaration, specifically number 8. Ayan, binibigay ko na sa inyo ang eksakto na provision. Potsdam Declaration number 8, which was set up by the Potsdam Conference, confirming the Cairo Conference of 1943 between who? Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, and the Chinese government then under Chiang Kai-shek. In 1972, nagpirmahan kaya nag-normalize ang diplomatic relations with China. Ang Japan withdraw recognition sa Taiwan or the Republic of China. Na nung panahon na sinakop ng China, ng Japan, ang mga islands na yan, ang tawag na dyan ay sa Taiwan ay Formosa pa nga. Oh. So, Portuguese pa yung pangalan. So anyway, mga kabansa, ang tanong, kanino sinuli? Sa China. O sino ngayon na may-ari? Pilipinas? Ay, sus. Ang layo naman ang conclusion ng mga gago natin senator at saka mga congressman at ang bangag natin Pangulo, pinirmahan pa. Sus Mario, sir. Back to you, Mentong.
Sorry na meron lang akong ina-update po, no, and I want pero tapusin muna natin yung ating discussion kay sa libro ni Anthony Carthy. But there's breaking news dito na pinadala mo po ni Danny Long on Trump speaking on Nick Pompeo, Nikki Haley, no. Ayun, nakalagay na po ni Joshua. Okay, anyway, Mabilis talaga si Kadyoso. Sabi po dito sa pinadala po ni Danny Long sa atin, Donald Trump's post, no? Real Donald Trump, at Real Donald Trump, I will not be inviting former Ambassador Nikki Haley, who is a war hawk, no, and a director in several defense industries, or former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to join the Trump administration, which is currently in formation. I very much enjoyed and appreciated working with them previously and would like to thank them for their great service to our country, make America great again. So that settles the question. This time, whether Pompeo will be back, and Nikki Haley, of course, hindi ko nabanggit, but she is one of the hawks din po, ano?
I
So
have a
this is very
report,
good news. Yes, Kado, go ahead.
Ang mga candidates sa Secretary of State ni Donald Trump is number 1, former Director of National Intelligence and Florida Senator Marco Rubio. Yan ang una ho, no? Rubio is joined on the list by Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty and former Acting Director of National Intelligence Richard Grenell. Ito po si Rubio at saka si Hagerty are hawks. However, noong Abril, bumoto sila against 60,000 billion appropriation for Ukraine. No? So nag-middle of the road sila. Hagerty served as Trump's ambassador to Japan before his election to the Senate in 2020. Both Rubio and Hagerty, however, take note, are considered hardliners on China, with Hagerty backing sanctions on Chinese communications and electronic firms and declaring China a danger to the U.S. and the rest of the world. So Hagerty is just like Pompeo. But in addition to this brief stint as Director of National Intelligence in 2020, Grenell served as Trump's ambassador to Germany and is considered a close ally of the president-elect. Grenell accompanied Trump to a meeting with Ukrainian leader Zelensky in September and would likely support ending the Russia-Ukraine conflict as swiftly as possible, even if doing so means Kiev to make significant concessions. So sa aking kompas, Mentong, si Grenell ang pinaka-ideal na maging Secretary of State. However, he has also been named as favorite for the position of National Security Advisor. So, my conclusion here is whomever outside of Grenell is appointed the Secretary of State, provided Grenell is appointed National Security Advisor. Kamento, maganda ang balanse niyan sa gobyerno ni ang problema lang dito, para na natin nakikita ang horizon pag si Rubio ang in-appoint niya Secretary of State. Ibig sabihin, sa Republican hierarchy, aakyat si Rubio ngayon sa presidential ladder. So, anyway, these are developing times, mga kabansa. And napakabuti na inalis niya yung dalawa na yan, si Haley at saka si Pompeo, dahil mga yan ay talagang mga hardliner. Si Pompeo po ang nag-endorso, kung inyong natatandaan, noong slur sa COVID-19 na Wuhan virus na pinaltan ni Trump during that time ng Chinese virus. Ito naman po si Haley is mainly behind yung trade war ng China at saka US. So with those two people outside of the drawing boards, medyo maganda po ang feeling ko dito sa tatlong nabanggit na ito. Ang isa pang dapat alisin sa senaryo ay si Christopher Ashley Ray, no? Ray, W-R-A-Y, na direktor ng Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI. Dahil yan ho ang nagsususong ng spy versus spy war games, no? Na behind the Bolt Typhoon peke news na kinakalat nila na China ang nagkarga. Pero actually, yan ho ay isang false flag ng Estados Unidos. So yan, Mentong, ang aking update yan sa State Department position.
Okay, so these are good developments and we'll get back to them later on sa international news. Balik tayo sa libro po ni Anthony Carty. Ito po ang facsimile or front cover po ng libro. Nandiyan po sa screen na po ninyo. Okay. So the history and sovereignty of the South China Sea or the South China Islands, English version. It's very expensive, as you can see, $35. So I don't know if we can get some donations. No, we'll request the Chinese embassy so we can include the book in our raffles po dito. Because I don't think we can afford it kung tayo po ang mamuhunan diyan. Yakado, you're going to say?
So, mag-request tayo ng donation ng books para may natin to sa mga kaibigan natin, mga analysts and academic, mga kaibigan natin.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do that. No? So tuloy po tayo sa diskusyon. So ito lang po ang response ng Chinese side from Global Times. Manila's South China Sea provocations become increasingly awkward within ASEAN. And I think nahalata na po ng marami na talagang iniiwanan tayo pinababayaan po tayo ng ASEAN na gumawa po nitong mga sa tingin nila ay suicidal na mga gawain. No? So we'll move on. Okay. Ito naman po yung post ni Danny Long tungkol sa anunsyo ni Donald Trump. So we'll move on. You have seen it already. I will not be inviting former Ambassador Nikki Haley or former State Secretary Mike Pompeo. Okay, discuss na po natin yan. Okay, sa Philippine economy and Philippine general situation po, ito po ang totoong nangyayari po sa bayan natin. Taliwas po doon sa mga kineclaim ng BBM administration that crime is down, that the economy is better. Ito po, SWS survey, which is kakamping na nga ng gobyerno. Pero hindi po nila maiwasan mag-ulat ng totoo. Families victimized by common crimes, cyber crimes increase, and dun sa cyber crimes po, nakita na po natin sa GCash the past few hours po, the past maybe 36 hours kung ano nangyari po diyan. Well, so far my GCash is safe. I've reviewed it, but si Ka Joshua is advising everyone to try to reduce their deposits diyan sa GCash for the meantime. Okay.
Ipatay sa PayMaya.
But actually, there is no cyber banking system or money system that is hack-proof, 100% hack-proof, no? Kaya maliit lang po dapat ang nailalagay diyan, yung kailangan lang for the regular transfers. No? Nag-post po si Ka Joshua ngayon dito, sabi niya, from Cherry Farm, Pota GCash. Didn't even notify, first time ever encountered this. Nakakagalik, ibalik niyo, pera namin, 51K yun. Well, meron tayong balita na from my daughter that one of her friends, 100,000 ang nawawala. So ito naman, pinost ni Ka Joshua, Nika Coaching. Ito po ang last na text ni GCash. Hi, in relation to the error in our system reconciliation, we are crediting the amount back to your wallet. Please expect this to be completed within the next 4 hours. Anyway, they're trying to resolve it. No? Actually, ang sinasabi po ng GCash, error in their system reconciliation, hindi hacking. So we will see. Kaya po meron din akong pinadala kahapon na GCash. Hindi well, I shared the receipt, ano, doon sa recipient. Hindi natanggap ng recipient yung receipt. So chinek ko ulit, natanggap naman. Directly chinek ko, natanggap naman. Pero there's something wrong with their system apparently. No? Okay, back to the economy. Meralco franchise gets final nod. And ito po, November 7, nilagay ko po sa gitna yung nakadilaw yung comment ni Butchunia. The House shamelessly did it by a vote of 186 for, 7 against, and 4 abstentions. Meralco's 25-year franchise, expiring 4 years from now in 2028, was renewed for another 25 years. Kabataan Party List Representative Kaliwayan, explaining he explained his no vote, said, rushing this renewal shows a lack of consideration for the public interest. Second, the Filipino people continue to suffer from Meralco's exorbitant electricity bills. There is serious doubt as to why this renewal is suddenly being rushed. There are indications that this is part of a larger scheme by oligarchs to close the administration, to control the power sectors, close to the administration, to control the power sector, similar to what happened in the Visayas. Well, anyway, I have said in my interview sa Meralco, sa SMNI, that the Philippine economy is being planned by the oligarchs, not by the government. That is why the call of General Romeo POGOs is very, very timely. It's time the military move, because the people cannot move against the oligarchs. They're so far away. They're wherever they are, and they have all these armies of lawyers and henchmen and even elements in the military. Power hike on the horizon again. Power consumers may see an increase in transmission charges once the Energy Regulatory Commission finalizes the amount the country's grid operator will recover for its spending over the last few years. Well, this is the problem of privatization. We are footing the bill for the service provider. Okay, next. Ito, pinagmamalaki pa ng gobyerno, 43 pesos rice available next week, says Department of Agriculture. Well, you can judge for yourself what this news means. Hindi nila talaga ma-deliver yung 20 peso rice. Although may nakikita ako, 25 peso doon sa mga tindahan sa squatter areas. But I don't really know. But maybe I should try to buy from them and see what exactly kind of rice that is. Okay, and despite all the optimistic projections ng NEDA, anong totoo, growth sharply slows to 5.2% in the third quarter. It was also below the 5.7 median forecast in the Business World poll of 12 economists and analytics. And on seasonally adjusted quarter-to-quarter basis, GDP expanded by 1.7% compared to 0.7% quarter-to-quarter po. So bagsak pa rin po in overall. Destruction in Cagayan as Marce exits the Philippines, pero may bago ba daw? Nika na bagyo? Talagang, well, alam po ninyo, yung tubig na nakikita niyo dyan sa larawan na yan po. Dapat na-impound yan, na-iipon for irrigation or such infrastructure. Now, sasabihin nung iba, anti-BBM lang tayo. No. Bakit ang mga bansa tulad ng Holland, Dutch, they can control their floods although they're below sea level? And this is not even below sea level. This is just during floods. Construction, dikes, infrastructure. But instead of going to all these public works infrastructure, ang ating pondo, ang ating taxpayer money is going to Tambaloslos, Saldico, sino yung Joel Chua, all these kinds of people. Again, going back to the right answer, which is from General Romeo POGOs, the military solution. Ito po, again, mitolohiya po na pinakapalaganap po ng mga pro-Americans that Philippine chip industry may sell exports of Philippine chips will Save the Philippines. But ito po ang headline po from Business Mirror, Philippine chips industry wants help from Taiwan's TSMC. Unfortunately, Taiwan's TSMC also depends on mainland China. So if there is any indication that the Philippines will need Taiwan, there will be pressure from China to prevent us, and the Americans cannot do anything about it. Kasi nasa baba po yung nilagay po galing sa The Diplomat, no? That 50, I don't know if I can expand this enough to be able to read it. Ka Joshua, can you do it? Parang sobrang maliit, ano? But the majority of Taiwan's exports of microchips is going also to China. So may influence po ang Chinese mainland dito sa mga trade po ng TSMC. Okay. Yeah, Ka Joshua, are you going to say anything? Okay, I'll move on. Non-transfer of 30 billion funds could impact GDP growth. Alam po ninyo, ito, panloloko po ni Recto na naman po at ng kung sino-sino, no, ng NEDA. Unprogrammed appropriations may only be availed when, according to the law, no, when revenue collections exceed targets through new revenue collections from new tax or non-tax sources, approved loans for foreign assisted projects, as well as excess funds of state-run corporations based on special provisions under the 2024 GAA, General Appropriations Act. Now, yung 30 billion po, kung gusto nilang maghanap ng 30 billion to help the GDP growth, ano, ang dami po doon sa mga corruption, bawasan lang po nila doon. Ano? But they're not really going to look for solutions. They're just going to look for more plunder and loot from our Philippine national budget. Marcos orders, this is the next headline, November 9, kahapon lang po. Marcos orders banning POGOs finally out, all for national security. But just 2 years ago, sabi ni Senator Gatchalian, POGOs contribute 1% to the Philippines GDP. Now, if you check our Philippine GDP, ilang trillion po yan, ilang daang piso na trillion, ano? 1% is hundreds of billions. Bakit the change of perspective in just 2 years' time? Dahil utos ng Amerikano na gamitin po ang POGO as an issue against China, which of course is not true. Ano? And it is not true that it is a source of espionage, but utos nga ng Amerikano. Remember, 1% of GDP, let me check kung magkano ang Philippine GDP. And let's see, let's imagine. 43.7 billion US dollars on Philippine GDP. Multiply that by 57 pesos lang, 58 pesos today. And you get trillions. Ano? Ilang trillions po yan? Get 1% of that. That is huge. We don't have time to compute it, but you can imagine 1% of 437.1 billion US dollars or 4.3 billion US dollars. That is already 4.3 billion US dollars times 50. 249 billion pesos po ang nawawala po dahil sa pagkawala ng POGO. And 100,000 jobs and so on. But, you know, it's useless to argue na dahil they've tried to create such a bad image of the POGO. But they're transferring everything to other kinds of gambling naman. So anong ka-ipokritohan po lahat yan? Anong kalokohan po lahat yan? But of course, the impact is very huge laban po sa ekonomiya ng Pilipinas. We're not defending it. We're just saying these are the economic facts and realities.
Mentong,
Yes, Kado.
I'm finalizing that article now, exposing what really happened there, no? Ang problema ho kasi dito sa POGO natin, maayos naman ito eh. Ngayon, nagka-problema ho ito noong COVID dahil sa mga naaprubahan na POGO, siyempre, ang kaluluwa ho niyang POGO, overshoes, ano yan offshore. Ang kliyente ho niya nasa labas ng Pilipinas. At usually, ang kliyente niya mga Chinese. Kaya a major part of the workforce must be able to speak Mandarin. Eh marami hong workers na nag-uwian noong COVID-19. So, hindi naman nabago ang dami ng POGO, so nawalan sila ng trabaho. So some of them ay nag-sideline sa mga illegal activities. Aminado naman ho tayo dyan eh. Ang problema dito, mga kabansa, nung una, isa lamang sindikato ang nag-ooperate dyan. Eh para makapagbayad utang ko sa utang na loob, sa kontribusyon sa eleksyon, sa isang nagngangalan na Rainier Chu, dinivide ho yung kingdom ng Pogo into two. Yung una kasing naghahari dyan, yung si Kim Wong, yung pong bumili ng 7 billion na property ng mga remulya dyan sa Kawit, Cavite. So, obligado silang proteksyonan si Kim Wong. Kaya po, very crucial dyan ang pagka-Secretary of Justice ni Boying Rimulya. Dahil ang NBI po at saka ang Bureau of Immigration ay under sa kanya. Ngayon, sino ang ginagamit nitong mga illegal POGO operators or illegal syndicates ay involved sa POGO? Abay, sino pang gagamitin niya kundi Bureau of Immigration para makapasok ang mga tao nila? At yung mga tao nila rito yung maproteksyonan sa visa. Sino mga nag-iimbestiga ng mga violator? NBI ho. Oh. So, maaari ba nating sabihin na si Boying Rimulya hindi involved sa proteksyon ng illegal POGO? Ay kayo ho maghusga. Hindi ako magsasalita dyan ng diretsyo. Pero ito si Rainier Chu na nag-contribute na halos 1 billion. Billion sa kampanya ni Presidente Marcos in order to accommodate him. Ay binigyan ho ng Kingdom North o Pasig River dito sa Manbay sa Bambantarlac. Eh, so hindi naman siya pwedeng isama doon sa proteksyon ni Rimulya dahil pinoproteksyon ng Rimulya ay ibang pangalan. So sino ngayon na naging protector at kailangan pwedeng itapat doon sa NBI at Bureau of Immigration ni Boying Rimulya? Eh, di wala akong iba kundi ang future senator na hindi nyo iboboto. Itong si Benhor Abalos. Bakit po? Dahil under sa DILG, ang pulis, ang PNP, alam naman natin sa bawat sindikato, kailangan meron kang pulis. Kasi ang police presence is hanggang local government suya. So ayan mga kabansa, no? Meron tayo dito ngayon, protektado ng DILG chief sa norte, yung isa, at yung isa naman, protektado ng DOJ secretary sa south. O, palagay nyo ba magkakabayan yan sa pangaraw-araw na negosyo? Hindi ho. Nagnanakawan ho ng mga tao yan, nagsisiraan yan, nagsusuhulan yan. O, at marami tayong kilala na involved even during the time of Duterte. No? Hindi tayo naghuhugas ng kamay dito. Na-involved sa mga illegal raids. Yan ho ang basic na negosyo nila. Yung kabila, re-raidin yung kabila para yung kabila magkabakros. At pag nagkabakros, ay pa-ooperate na ba? Hindi ho ba yun ang nangyari dyan sa na-discovery nila na mother of all POGOs daw dyan sa Malate recently? O ilang beses daw na-raid dyan? Mga 5 beses na yata. Eh bakit nandiyan pa na-raid uli? Dahil come across. Yun ho yung negosyo. Ngayon, Sino ngayon ang naipit sa gitna? Eh, di si Altenco ho, no? Si Altenco ang dapat magbalanse ng aktibidades ng dalawang sindikato na yan. Oh. So ito ho ay kwento lamang na isinasambit ko sa inyo. Maniwala kayo, hindi. Bahala kayo. Mag-form kayo ng sarili niyong konklusyon. Kung meron bang mga malalaking tao na nag-uumpugang mga higante sa itaas, hindi ho ba yan kakalog hanggang sa kailaliman? Yan ho ang nangyari. It was Bongbong Marcos when he became president that created the problem. Nahalata ko ho yan dahil sa pangalawa pa lamang hearing, between the first and the second hearing, nakialam na ho si Presidente Marcos sa narrative ng Pogo. At sino ang ginawa nilang sacrificial lamb sa propaganda? Isang small town mayor ng Bamban, si Alice Go, who incidentally is Chinese. Diyan na ho pumasok ang propaganda ng mga Amerikano about the Pogo spy, the Chinese spy. Eh, ano naman Chinese spyhan dito? Ay bawal nga yung Pogo sa China. Kaya ho, mga narrative, no? Malagay, palawakin ko na ng kaunti. Yan yung nakasagutan ni Mentong sa kanilang article. Yan si Colin Powell.
Raymond Powell.
Raymond Powell, Colin Powell, sorry. Si Raymond Powell, mga kabansa, may narrative, ang nakatapat niya dyan, si Mentong. Ano ang in-introduce na narrative? Natatandaan niyo ba mga kabansa nung sabihin ni Presidente Marcos, sino ba yung Alice Go na yan? Eh, hindi namin kilala yan. Kilala namin lahat ng mga politiko niyo sa Tarlac eh. Pero hindi namin kilala si Alice Go. O ano nangyari pagkasabi niya noon mga kabansa? Hindi ba naglabasan yung mga picture? Pati ni Amy Marcos kasama si Alice Go? Hindi ba lumabas yung picture ni Bongbong Marcos kasama si Alice Go? Diyan sa sinungaling ng bangag na Pangulo natin? Bakit? Ang liit-liit na bagay, ang daming problema ng bansa natin, bagyo lang, hindi pa makatapat. Eh nakikialam pa ang Presidente ng Pilipinas sa isang napakaliit na issue tungkol sa Pogo? O ano ibig sabihin nun? Something's not working properly. Aba, eh naka-assign yung problema ho kay Altenco. Coincidental ba na si Altenco ay kaklase ni Sara Marcos sa Ateneo Law School noong 1985? Aba, sino kayo? Mamili na kayo sa mga pangalang minention ko kung sino talaga ang mastermind ng kalokohan ng Pogo na niresolba nila. Nagkaroon sila ng solusyon, matatakbuhin nila si Ben Horable sa Senado, at aalisin na nila si Rainier Chu. At sino ang naging DILG na kapalit ni Besar Abalos? Ay di si kapatid ho ni Rimulya. So ngayon may peace na sa Pogo dahil balik na naman ang kingdom ni Kim Wong. Iisa lang ho ulo. Tandaan niyo mga kabansa, pagka kayo nakakakita lang anumang hayop, o anumang object na dalawang ulo, ang tawag ho dyan monster. Dahil yung isang ulo, kakagatin yung sa ulo, yung kabilang ulo, kakagatin naman yung kabilang ulo. So ano ngayon na sumatotal? Meron ba sila napatunayan kay Alice Go ni Sigurduling? Kung ano-ano na binato nila dyan? At sino ho ang sumundo? VIP style. Kay Alice Go sa Indonesia? Si Benhar at ang PNP chief. Galing talaga mambola nito si Kaado. Para ako nananaginip sa spy versus spy ng Mad Magazine. Kayo na ho ang maghusga. Dahil hanggang dyan na lamang ho, nagtatapos ang aking kwentong kutsero. Maraming salamat po.
Okay, and so ang susunod po sa economy recto, sinasabi na yung interest rate cut nandiyan pa rin pag pinag-uusapan pa rin. Hindi pa magawa-gawa dahil in limbo. Actually, natatakot po sila baba po ng interest rate dahil alam po nila inflation po, lolobo talaga sobra. So the economy, again, I know it's tiring to hear it, but the economy is really in bad shape dahil sa mismanagement itong mga to. Susunod sa economy pa rin po, trade deficit post largest growth in 2 years. Deficit ang lumaki. Hindi po trade balance or trade benefit or trade advancement. So that means that we are exporting less than we are importing. Again, largest deficit in 2 years' time. Next, family of 5 needs 26,000 pesos per month to live decently according to the think tank. Sorry, hindi ko na nalagay yung detalye po, but this is just to update you on the estimates or evaluations of some of the economic think tanks. Ito naman po, tungkol na, of course, this is connected dun sa Alice Go case, 1,600 spurious applications for Philippine birth certificates blocked daw, sabi ng Philippine Statistics Authority. Inuulat po ni Grace po, which brings me to the question of Grace Po's own birth certificate. Bakit po hindi lumalabas ang talagang pangalan po ng tunay na nanay niya? Because nilitoke din siguro ata, no? I have to review the birth certificate, but for Grace po to be the one to bring this up is a very big question mark in itself. We'll move on. Well, this is from Ka Eric Chelis, yung ating colleague and comrade dyan sa SMNI na tumatakbo with the Epanaw party list. And sabi po niya, Romualdez and Saldico pinatungan ang national budget ng 1.7 trillion. We'll go further into this in our next episode, but we called Ka Eric to join us, but maybe next time, he'll be able to join us. Okay, again about dynasties at yung kapalpakan at kalokohan ng party list. Ito naman po, sumasali din ang Po family, si Grace po. At ang kanyang anak po ay nag-register po ng party list. Brian Yamansares, again, dual citizen po ito. Or, well, I don't know kung anong status exactly now. Son of Senator Grace po has filed his certificate of candidacy as first nominee of the FPJ Panday Bayanihan Party List. FPJ Panday Bayanihan Party List. Anong kalokohan po yan? Anong sectoral interest yan? Kundi bulsa po ng Po family. Lamansares filed his COC on Thursday, October 3, accompanied by his mother, Senator Grace Po. He said the party represents sectors such as the urban poor, accompanied by his mother. He said urban poor, transportation workers, medical frontliners, among others. Yung intention po ng party list po ay particular na sektor. Ayan po ay generic po term po sa nire-represent mo, sector of the poor. Everybody's poor. Anyway, it aims to push for legislation that will benefit the groups. Ayuda nation na nga tayo . We consulted with various sectors and developed the right platform to address their concerns, Lamansares said in a mix of English and Filipino. Well, malinaw po yung Po family led by this Grace Po. Wala pong intensyon yan na talagang tulungan po ang bansang Pilipinas, ang Republika ng Pilipinas. Tulad lang po ng mga regular politiko sa Pilipinas, regular dynasties, political dynasties, nagpapasasa lang po sa taxpayer money po itong mga to.
Ligo ka na?
Okay. Yakado, you're going to say anything?
Well, actually, protection na lang . Actually, nagbigay kasi si Saldico ng 3 billion kada senator. Yung mga hindi natatakbo can use it for their retirement. At saka, kung gusto naman nila, tumakbo sila sa party list. Yun naman mga re-election ni Senator, para sa pagtakbo nila sa Senator. Wala tayong narinig dyan kay Escudero kung saan niya, baka ibibili niya ng bag yung asawa niya. So,
Okay.
3 billion ho yan, 3 billion kada senator. So, 24 yan, so halos 75 billion ho, napunta lang sa bulsa ng bawat senator to spend as they wish. Kaya ito naman si Paul, mag-i-invest naman siya sa party list. Well, sabi ko nga, enjoy the money, follow the color, the money trail.
Okay.
Hanggat nandiyan kayo dahil galit na si Romeo Pokis. Kabento.
Oh, by the way, yung ating raffle, huwag natin kalimutan. Sorry to bring it up so late, but let's start registering po for the book of Mauro Samonte or the book of Sasot Rogando. We'll have other books in the future raffles po. No? So let's go on. Yung SUV 7-plate linked to Gatchalian. Well, ngayon, nahalata na po, tinatanggihan ni Win Gatchalian, but established na po na sa kanila po yung sasakyan na yan. And yan po ang kultura ng abuso nitong mga politiko. And I've never believed they ever really won legitimately. Lahat po yan negotiated by the master deal maker na ama po nila Gatchalian, ni Win Gatchalian at yung magkakapatid. Si, what's his first name? Itong Gatchalian na Plastics King. Deal maker lang po yan. And dahil po sa corrupt na system po natin, lahat pong dinideal po nitong mga ito ay nakukuha po nila but nothing is left for the nation. Just to make it clear, this culture of opportunism and corruption po is the one prevailing. We have to have a revolution. Wala ibang solusyon so that we can start setting up a meritocratic culture po sa Pilipinas. And of course, yung mga mangilan-ngilan na politiko at liderato na gumagawa ng tama po ay inuusig po, tinutuligsa po ng mga corrupt na mga politiko tulad ni Vice President Sara Duterte na ito pong Bureau of Immigration ay nag-i-issue daw ng bulletin, lookout bulletin for OVP and DepEd executives, no? Para doon sa kaso nila daw sa Quad or doon sa Kongreso at Senado tungkol sa OVP budget na wala namang katuturan. Okay, we'll go into the China-ASEAN relations. Again, merong balita na lumabas ngayon. Ang Taiwan Talks pala, yung puppet show po ng Taiwanese na siyempre coordinated with our Philippine puppets kung saan nag-a-appear madalas po sila Raymond Powell, sila Batong Bakal, sila Heydarian dyan sa Taiwan Talks. Remember po dyan, makikita po ninyo sa YouTube. Na sinasabi, Indonesia-Philippine Alliance against China. Nandito po sa Beijing ngayon si President Prabowo at nakikipag-diplomasya kay President Xi Jinping ng China po, calling for building a community with shared future with regional and global influence. Yan po. Wala po, talo na po ang Estados Unidos sa diplomasya sa China. China is the most popular country with the global majority. At the same time, mga Pilipino din, yung pagka-ipokrito and double standard po ay sa politika po ay mag-a-anti-China, pero sa totoo na praktikal na buhay po, tulad po itong si Governor Gwen Garcia ng Cebu, ay nasa China mismo ngayon at nakikilahok po sa China International Investment Exhibition. Gwen Garcia hands over gifts from First Lady Lisa Araneta Marcos and former First Lady Imelda Marcos to Fujian Governor Cao Long, I don't know how to pronounce it, Kweicho Motai, 15-year-old Pai Chu, and personally dedicated and signed photograph of Madam Imelda Marcos with now Chinese President Xi Jinping. In return, Governor Zhao Long also handed to Governor Garcia his gifts for the two first ladies. Ayun. So, I don't know how these Filipino politicians can live in two worlds. One, nag-anti-China, pero sa kabila naman po talagang nakikisuyo sa China for better trade and so on. But that seems to be the national character of the political class and oligarchic class po sa Pilipino na dapat po ibasura na po itong mga to. Samantalang ang Pilipinas po, tinatakwil ang Chinese tourists. Ang Chinese tourism naman to Russia surges sevenfold, times 7. So yung mga nawawala po sa atin, naghahanap ng ibang mapupuntahan. At ngayon po, Russia po ang nakikinabang, certainly from part of what used to come to the Philippines. Tungkol sa Asia naman, US-Asia, South Korea may still provide weapons directly to Ukraine. Di ba ito yung pinapaliwanag natin? Yung false and fake news na North Koreans daw are already fighting in Kursk. Yan po ay false news, fake news, para lang mabigyan ng dahilan ang South Korea na makihalo na, makisali na doon sa Ukraine war na natatalo na. Now, I don't know how stupid the puppet South Korean president will be to commit when the Americans and the Europeans are already trying to get out of the Ukraine war. But stupidity knows no bounds sa mga puppet po ng Amerikano. Tulad ni Bongbong Marcos, tulad nitong Presidente Yoon, tulad ni Prime Minister Ishiba ng Japan. Ito, nabanggit na natin kanina, Trump must end wars, veteran US Democrat. So, marami po tayong kakampi na Amerikano that is trying to prevent more wars and trying to put the United States on the right path towards peace and global prosperity, the same direction that China is leading, Russia is leading, the BRICS is leading the world towards. Now, of course, dito po sa mga pro-American, sa mga proxy ng Amerikano po dito, sinasabi po nila that Trump will win, na panalo ni Trump will spurs defense ally Philippines to shield economic ties. But actually, when you read that headline, it's not communicating anything. It is hoping that the reader will think that the relationship with America is going to be a profitable relationship under Trump. But that is not the case. Itong report po sa baba from CNBC na nilagay ko. Not just China. Trump 2.0 could spell trouble for US allies as he doubles down on tariff talk. Actually, Trump has said that even for allies and other countries outside of China, he will impose 20% tariff sa mga imports galing sa mga bansang yan. Yes, Kado or Kadyoso, who was going to try to say something? Did I hear wrong? But anyway, so sabi po dito sa report ng Business World, Manila plans to capitalize on the strengthened defense ties to continue scoring economic benefits from Washington. Scoring, where are the benefits? Up to now, wala. Up to now, yung free trade agreement, 5 taon na hinihiling ng Pilipinas sa Amerika, ay sinabi po ng US Trade Representative last year when she arrived, Catherine Tai said, it is not in the works. Ginogoyo po ang Pilipino at pumapayag ang mga puppet na yan, tulad ng ginogoyo ang Germany ng Amerikano, na ngayon bagsak na po ang Germany. US rules out free trade with the Philippines. Ito po, report na ating diniscuss na po. We got this from 2023 po nung bumisita po si Catherine Tai po dito. So wag na tayong magpaloko, wag na tayong maglokohan. Walang maitutulong ang Estados Unidos sa ekonomiya po ng Pilipinas. And of course, this issue ni Ambassador Babes Romualdez sa Amerika na sinasabi, inaabisuhan po ang mga 300,000 Pilipinong TNT po sa Amerika na kusang lumikas na mula sa Amerika. Pinoy TNT sworn crackdown on illegal looms under Trump administration. Leave now. Ano? But actually po, may problema po ang Amerikano at may problema ang Pilipinas pag talagang pinauwi po lahat yung mga yan. You will have 300,000 more Filipinos in the Philippines na jobless po. Kaya po sila pumunta po sa Estados Unidos eh. But number two, America itself may not be able to afford to send home all the illegals na Pilipino because as it has been estimated, it would cost tens if not hundreds of billions of dollars to deport all these TNT Filipinos from the United States. So itong si Babes Romualdez nagsalita lang po siya para sumipsip sa kanyang mga among Amerikano. Hindi upang makatulong po sa Filipino TNTs. Walang hiyang bastos, basura na ambassador ng Pilipinas na Babes Romualdez na sabi ko, empleyado ng US State Department na nakabihis po na ambassador ng Pilipinas. Of course, that was one of the errors of President Duterte too. He appointed Babes Romualdez as ambassador to the United States. Ano? Okay. Well, ito po ang tungkol din dito sa trade sa Pilipinas at Amerika. Donald Trump's second term would be a protectionist nightmare. Ano? And nilagay po natin yung hulat mula sa business world naman. Trump's tariff plan worries NEDA chief. Ano? So, yan po ay ating pinapaliwanag paulit-ulit. Wala pong benepisyo galing sa Amerika. Ang benepisyo lang na inaasahan po ay yung benepisyo para sa sariling kapakanan po ng Marcos family na secret deal niya with Biden para maibalik po yung yaman ng tatay niya. That is the only benefit that will accrue to anyone in the Philippines. To Bongbong Marcos and family alone. Negatibo po on everything for the Filipino people.
Mentong,
Yes, Kado.
talaga nakaka-disappoint na si Babes Romualdez. Alam mo, ni school janitor, hindi ko a-appoint yan eh. Di ba mag-isip yung mga unang-una, PR man niya ng US Embassy for the longest time eh. Bakit ginawang maling-mali si Duterte dyan eh. Pero alam mo na, compromise during his time, katulad ng pag-appoint sa mga pro-Americans na katulad ni Teddy Boy Locsin. Pero ano ang ating nakuha niya? The right creative approach to the Filipinos in the United States is immigration reform. Mamili sila. Sino ba mga ano dyan? Sino ba mga patay gutom? Ayun, diniretso ko na mga kabansa. Ang mga Pilipino ba dyan patay gutom? Hindi naman kasiguro. Mga Meksikano, lalo na, naku, Diyos mio, by the millions, pumasok noong panahon ni Biden. Ano ba ang alam ng mga yan? Yung mga yan, mga kamento, nag-aabang lang yan sa Town Plaza. Makikita mo pag pumunta ka sa malapit sa City Hall ng Los Angeles. No? There are some places in Virginia, even in Virginia. May istambayan niya mga yan eh. Nakakumpul niya, mga 30 sila hanggang 50. Tapos, mo, kailangan mo ng plumber, kailangan mo ng taga-buhat, kailangan mo ng taga-ano. Nandun lang sila. Pero wala kang makikita Pilipino doon. Dahil kalamihan ng Pilipino na nasa Amerika, they have skills. No? Lahat yan, yung mga graduates ng college yan na hindi naman makakuha ng trabaho dito. So they have skills. They have potential brown collar or white collar employees. And it's a very good source. Lalo na yung mga involved sa health practitioners natin. Wow! Respetado yan. From coast to coast. At maraming nagpuproteksyon dyan ng mga puti din. Dahil siyempre, yung mga itim na, at saka yung mga Chicano na naiingit sila sa mga Pilipino dahil na Pilipino, very good doctors, very good nurses, very good medtechs, very good sa health industry. Wow! Number 1 Pilipino dyan. Tanungin nyo yung mga senior citizen, they will specify, look for a Filipino caregiver. Look for a Filipino 24-hour nurse sa mga nando sa ICU. So, immigration reform, sino mga maaaring makatulong sa ekonomiya nila? Doon sa maaaring makatulong sa ekonomiya nila, bigyan ng puwang na maging green card holders. Pero yung mga iba talaga na sampay bakod lang at saka patay gutom lang, yun ang mga pauwiin. Kasi their lives are even in danger in the US. Kaya dito papasok naman ang ating in the long term or in the past, ang pagkakapabaya ng Amerikano. At nangyayari ito. Dito kumuha dapat ang Amerika ng wisdom from the Chinese. Kung hindi di-develop ng China ang Africa, can you imagine? We will have a one continent na bit-bit by the rest of the other continents. Kung di-develop ng Amerika ang Mexico at South America, just like what China is doing now to Africa, Eurasia, and all these poor developing countries, o ano nangyari? They are now the best traders with China. They're the best markets. Alam mo kami ito, as early as 2006, during that time I was a missionary for Couples for Christ. Nagpunta kami ng asawa ko sa Cameroon. At ang problema doon, pag papalit ka lang ng dollar, kailangan sa public market pa na napakalayo. Mabiyahe ka pa. Walang mga money exchange. But when we were there waiting for the money exchanger, because nagdala namin dollar sa local currency, ipapalit, umiikot ako. And as early as 2006, nakita ko yung mga brands na mga denims, na mga RTWs, na yung mga classify natin even as second-hand ukais that were in the public market. Where I was, siyempre mainit ka, iikot ka, di ba? Yung mga gamit sa kitchen, mga appliances, they were all made in China. Or Bangladesh, or Cambodia, or Laos, na alam natin, secondary production, based on China. Yung mga low-end industries, dinidevolve na ho yan ng China sa mga kapitbahay na, lalo na yung mga labor-intensive that needs cheap labor. And then they're shipped to China and China ships them all over the world. And that is brought to Africa. Ngayon, ano ang naging secondary market doon? Ang Japan was actively shipping Toyota cars through South Africa. Isiship ng Japan sa South Africa. South Africa will distribute that to the rest of Africa. Ano ibig sabihin? Bigyan mo ng capability yung mga ka-trade mo to be able to have and set up factories of their own so that yung GDP nila, and especially the GDP PPP, which is the per capita production per head, tataas ang income ng mga yan. No? Ang yabang-yabang natin, ang baba naman ng ating GDP PPP. Kung pagyabang ni Marcos, 6.3! Second quarter, talagang magaling ako. Magaling ako. Siyang 6.3. Ngayon, 5.2 na lang. Pero sino yan nakikinabang sa GDP na yan? Abay, si Aboitis, si Panganiban, si Enrique Rason, at sa mga kasosyo na asawa niya sa Pogo. Yan naman ang kinabang dyan. Di naman ang taong bayan ang babaho ng ating per capita income. So we cannot
Okay.
buy. And if the people cannot buy products, if Mexico cannot buy American products, you can just imagine. Then Mexico, South America, becomes a burden. Pero kung dinevelop yan ang Amerikano from the very beginning, just as China is developing Africa and other Eurasian or developing countries in the world, sharing their wealth, then they become strong markets from the very Chinese product. O ngayon, ano ang pambili natin ng electric cars from China? Wala. Pero ang Malaysia, Indonesia, may leverage sila. Ang Indonesia may nickel, ang Malaysia, malaki ang market.
Yeah.
Pero
Yeah.
honestly, tulungan mo yung kapitbahay mo para sa oras ng pangangailangan mo, pwede kang kumatok.
Yes. And that is exactly what China is doing with the Belt and Road Initiative, with the BRICS, tumutulong po siya sa buong mundo na ma-develop through infrastructure and buying of their goods para may perang uiikot pabalik po sa kanila, para may pera namang babalik na naman sa China sa negosyo din po idadaan. So that is the future dapat at ating titingnan. And ganyan din po sa Pilipinas. Hindi lang po magpatali sa Amerika, kundi makipag-ugnay sa buong mundo. At yung merkado po ng Pilipinas po ay lalaki at masasakop ang buong mundo at hindi lang po uaasa na wala sa Amerika. So let's move on. So our last item was Donald Trump's second term would be a protectionist nightmare where the Philippines will not find any support po for its economic development. Let's move on. Some of the bright spots po sa mga narinig natin na babasa sa Amerika sa Trump government is itong si Elon Musk. Sabi niya, the tech mogul told Tucker Carlson that he will slash the number of federal agencies if he becomes part of the new administration, which is exactly what the Philippines should be doing also, trimming down its government bureaucracy, removing the senators and the congressmen, and reducing the legislature to a very, very small number of people, and remove all the pork barrel, because the job of legislature, the job of making laws does not involve money. Well, anyway, this is an important note that we will continue to follow sa mga nangyayari po sa Trump administration. So far, I think we're the only ones doing the best in analyzing what is going on sa Trump administration that is forthcoming in January. Okay. Tungkol na sa Israel, we're moving on to the global issues. Mass protests po ay nangyayari po sa Israel sa kasalukuyan sa ilang mga cities po ng Israel dahil po doon sa pagsisante ni Netanyahu sa kanyang defense minister, si Gallant, at sa kanyang sisante rin sa ilang mga staff po niya na accused of espionage because of the cover-up that Netanyahu is doing to what he doon sa mga ginagawa niya na nililik po nitong mga staff members niya. So again, ang mga inisyatibo po sa gera ng ginagawa ng Estados Unidos, puro talo. Talo na sa Ukraine at dito sa Israel, malapit na po mag-collapse po ang Israeli government. And doon sa Lebanon po, hindi po nakakasulong po yung mga tropa ng IDF. At pati ang Golani Brigade, yung kanilang elite battalion po or elite army ay wini-withdraw na po sa Lebanon. We'll get back to this if there are any points the Kado and anybody wants to bring up. Okay, doon naman po sa Germany, nagko-collapse na din po ang Biden neo-conservative allied government ni Scholz, at sinisante ni Scholz ang kanyang finance minister Christian Lindner had to be sacked due to his reluctance to increase funding for Kiev. So sino po ang nagpilit po sa Germany at sa European Union na awayin po ang ang Russia, kundi Amerika. Ano? And dito nakaakap pa rin po si BBM, sila Gibo Teodoro, sila Browner diyan sa Estados Unidos. Of course, the US plan is to create war by 2027 against China, which will not happen. But in the meantime, tayo ay pahirap ng pahirap po dahil po sa mga pagpipigil po ng Estados Unidos sa ating economic development with China and with BRICS. In the meantime, yung isang kaalyado din ng Pilipinas dito sa ginagawa ng Amerikano, ang Japan, anong nangyayari po? Well, the economy is failing massively. Japanese car giant Nissan will slash 9,000 jobs globally as part of urgent measures to turn around its performance. The Chinese car makers, electric vehicle car makers are taking over the global car market. And so instead of allying with the strengthening economy, Bongbong Marcos is allying with the sunset economies like Japan and the United States of America. It's now 9:46, Joshua. It's really our regular time for the raffle. Are we ready with the raffle wheel? Okay, ready. So, i-spin na natin para malaman na natin for today, for this week. Ayan, maganda po. Marami pong nakasali na po. So, let's spin it and let's see if a new name will win this time. At taga saan po siya? Let's see. Red or yellow? Yellow, yellow, yellow. Si Crisandi Par. Crisandi Par, a new name po. Thank you very much for joining. Taga saan si Crisandi? Tondo, Manila. Okay, thank you very much. So, paki-communicate kay Ka Joshua yung preference nyo. Kung libro pa ni Mauro Samonte, The China, The Way, The Truth, and the Light. O yung libro po ni Sasot Rogando na Lighthouse. I forget the name, sorry. Nagmamadali ang aking utak to get back to some of the comments from our followers and supporters. Dorina Roa said, tagtarin yung EDCA na yan at isauli sa US o gawing rehab center para sa mga bangag o evacuation areas pag may disaster. From Andy Gabiola, parusahan ang tambalosnos sa pangungurakot at pangbabalasubas sa kaban ng bayan. And ito, Chinese characters, I cannot read. Yes, EDCA will cost $10 billion a year. Protection money, basically, sabi ni, I will need time to read it. Maybe it's Korean, I don't know. No? Okay, and let's read some more before we go on. DW Lingayen, Boy Bangag was so happy with Biden and Kamala since last year. Now he realized they will be gone and he will never get to presidency. He will never get President Xi's trust anymore. Tama po yan. Okay, let's read one more comment. Let me see. Mel B, pagdating ng araw mga Pilipino nasa ibang bansa, babalik sila o tumalon sa bayang sinilangan. Mom Z, si Escudero nagpakaaso din kay Marcos. That's true, that's very sad. Sayang po, may pag-asa na sana. Okay, and dito po sa Facebook, hanapin ko po yung TikTok. May nabuksan na po ni Carl Joshua yung TikTok pero nawawala po. Let's see this message here. Ito po, let's see. Next president Inday now na, sabi ni LC George. This is from TikTok. I consider you sir, as my mentor on our journey to this live stream and fighting for our country. That is from Hikikomori Empire. From BBM for Life, Marcos pa rin, bangag in our hearts. Okay, Marcos Senior naman po tayong lahat, no? But Marcos Junior, marami pong kabangangan talaga. Sabi ni Emily Barbon, vote straight Duterte lineup. Sabi niya, Toya, BBM bangag resign. Okay, Anthony Agoncillo, Babes Romualdez is cut from the same cloth. Yun, Anthony Agoncillo po yun. Kaso hindi i-develop ng US yung mga bansa because they want to remain the hegemon. Absolutely correct po. Ano? Gian Carlos, good evening. Sabi ni Brian Jerome Pineda, it's William Gatchalian, if I'm not mistaken, na businessman na anak na magkapatid ni Senator Will Gatchalian and former mayor and current DSWD Secretary Rex Gatchalian. Ang dami po nila sa gobyerno. Deal making po yan ni nung whatever his name is, the father Gatchalian. No? Nakita ko po magsipsip po yan kay Presidente Erap noon. Sobra. Ros Flores, good morning. Reynaldo Parito, mabuhay. Okay, so let's get back to the... yes, Ka Joshua, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to add a comment dito sa sinabi ni Ambassador Babes Romualdez.
Babes Romualdez.
Well, bakit naman is he still a Filipino ambassador or an American ambassador? Imbis na tulungan mo yung mga Pilipino mo na kababayan mo, ay tutulungan mo pa yung mga Amerikano. Imbis na sabihin mo, pumunta po kayo dito sa embassy, tutulungan po namin kayo para maiayos po lahat ng mga requirements po ninyo, ganyan. Sabi niya, umuwi na lang po kayo at ayaw namin kayo dito sa Amerika. Kayong mga madudumi, kayong mga illegal, kayong mga nagpakahirap na pumunta dito, mga kayumanggi, mga putikan ng muka, umuwi na lang po kayo, mga TNT, mga illegal. Yan po ba ang ambassador po natin? Filipino ambassador po ba yan? O American ambassador? Yan ang mga tanong natin na dapat question. Kasi, of course, mali yung mga policies niya at the highest level. Pero yung base decency niya, wala din. Kahit yung katiting na compassion, katiting na yung bare minimum ng trabaho niya, na tulungan yung mga Pilipino nasa Amerika, hindi niya magawa. Kita natin yung mga taong ganito, no? Kailangan magalit tayo dito sa mga ganitong tao, mga
Yes.
indecent na eh. Mali eh.
Yeah.
At ayan mo, Ka Joshua, pagka presidente na si Sara Duterte, ang una nating i-deport sa Amerika ay ang ating ambassador na yan, si
Okay.
Babes Romualdez, na hanggang ngayon ay still a baby of the Americans. Meron pala ako ditong input sa chat.
Yeah, Kado, sandali. In relation to what you just mentioned, sabi po dito ni Anita sa US, Kado is correct. The Filipino are staying illegals are professionals. Many teachers, engineers, nurses, they end up working as caregivers to save themselves board and lodging. They send their thousands of dollars at home into the Philippines. Back to you, Kado.
So anyway, just to link to the TNT, alam po ninyo, matagal tayo nagsilbi sa gobyerno natin sa embassy sa US at kilala natin ang ugali ng mga Pilipino doon. Hindi po tayo pasanin, no? At in fact, nakakaproblema nga Amerikano sa atin dahil hindi tayo marunong gumamit ng mga social security benefits ng Pilipino. Hindi nag-a-avail ang Pilipino kasi Pilipino self-sustaining. We support each other when we are in foreign countries, with a few exceptions, of course. And nagawa po namin yan, mga kabansa, under Reagan, no? Reagan Bush. Nagawa namin yan. Instead of complaining, naggrabe kami tukol dito sa mga veterano natin na wala halos benepisyo dahil hindi naman sila ginawang US citizens. Naglabi kami, and in 1990, nagkaroon ng immigration reform. Hindi lamang sa ating mga US World War II veterans. At finally, nagsimula na under, anong pangalan niyan, si Jimenez, no? Si Ambassador Jimenez, ang siyang naging Veterans Affairs officer natin sa embassy. Napakarami po. Tens of thousands of Filipino World War II veterans were incorporated as green card holders, and some of them even made it as citizens. And even though they're not living in the US anymore, they're still up to now getting their pension. No? And it opened also the avenue for other nationalities reform. Kasi hindi naman pwede na magbibigay ka ng amnesty o probation sa isang nationality lang. Bawal yung sa batas. So they spread it out. So this can be done again. Babes Romualdez, bobo ka. Mag-resign ka na lang dyan. Wala ka lang ginawa kundi sipsipin yung puwit ng mga ni ano dyan. Ay, naku, hindi na ako magme-mention ng pangalan. Anyway, gusto ko i-bring up itong sa chat, itong aspeto, madaling-madali lang, na si Bobo Marcos ay nagre-reklamo na ang Quick Response Fund natin, ang katotohanan dyan ay dahil sa dami ng bagyo ay naubos na. Abay, ang haba talaga ng ilong nitong bangang na Pangulo na ito. Naubos na ang pondo ng Pilipinas. Actually, Agosto pa lang, ubos na. Bakit? Ay, nako, sabi nga, ultimong butil ng bigas gustong tatakan ni Martin Romualdez ng Romualdez Rice. Kabibigay nyo ng mga ayuda, political ayuda, at pagbibigay nyo ng pagpapataba nyo ng bulsa ng mga kakandidato para sa suporta dito sa mga na Pangulo, naubos ang pondo, hindi lamang ang QRF. Kanina diniscuss natin kung paano itong si Ralph Recto is in virtual panic. Hindi lang niya pinapakita dahil wala na ho talagang pera ang gobyernong ito dahil Agosto pa lang ubos na. At inubos nila mga kabansa sa mga ghost flood control projects at iba pa. At ang susunod na slide na pinakita ko dyan sa chat ay yun, katulad ng riprapping ng mga ilog dyan sa Cebu. Meron pang isa, hindi ko makita yung file. Yung tulay, mga kabansa, sa Bicol. Can you imagine yung tulay, ginawa nila walang bakal? My goodness. So, si Christine, maraming binulgar na mga, kung merong mga flood control projects, ay mga house show at nadala ng tubig ang infrastruktura. So, bakit nag-fail ang NDRRMC mula nung umupo ito si Bongbong Marcos? Doon sa command conference, press conference niya, inamin niya mga kabansa that we have budgeting issues. Eksakto, quote-unquote, budgeting issues. Tapos sasabihin niya rito, kaya ang ginawa natin ay nagtabi ulit tayo ng pondo para mabigyan ulit malagyan mga mga ano lang yan mga pork barrel, lilipat nyo lang para nakinuha nyo in the first place sa mga program funds ng NDRRMC noong panahon. Huli Duterte, prioridad ang kalamidad. Dahil sa experience niya, hands-on siya, nagpunta sa Yolanda, doon sa Tacloban. Kaya ho, ang Duterte, mas tanyag sa Tacloban kaysa dyan kay Martin Romualdez. At ang pruweba ko dyan, yung bisitahin ni Duterte para gumawa ng isang maisog rally dyan sa Tacloban, punong-puno ho ng tao, miski walang anunsyo ang kanilang rally.
Okay,
Kaya,
1 minute. 1 minute to end of our time. To the end of our time, Arthur Baba Canonisado says, isa ang father ko, Kaado, ang nakinabang sa pag-avail ng US citizenship. Pinepetisyon kami, kaso namatay ang father ko na hindi kami nakapunta sa US. Nag-apply ko ako ng humanitarian consideration. Sabi ni D.W. Lingayen, AFP must take action and arrest all these corrupt in power. Seryogo, no more Marcoses, Romualdeses, and the Aquinos. Tama po yan. Okay, well, we have no more time. It's exactly 10 more in the morning. Let's keep tuned in for the next few minutes to listen to our march, Sulo ng Pilipino. Ado, yung paalam mo, Ka Joshua.
Maraming salamat po at magkita-kita tayo sa Miyerkules sa online naman. Opinion.
Okay, Ka Joshua.
Yeah, thank you po sa
Ka
lahat ng
Joshua.
tagapakinig, no? And sana buksan natin yung mata natin sa mga indecent na mga tao na to na ambassador ka ng Pilipinas. Kaya palayas mo yung mga Pilipino, ayaw mo tulungan. Salamat po.
Okay. Okay, maraming salamat po. And this is our march. If you have time to listen through the entire message, it is very inspiring. Mabuhay po and have a good week ahead of you.
Sa kadakilaan, mayang perlas ng silangan, may ginintuang kasaysayan, lahing pinagpala ng may kapal. Bayang sinil, ikaw ay tumindig, kalayanin paglaban at idiin, harapin ang mga manlulupig, nasa'yo ay sumaklot, laman mo'y kinabig. Ang tinang diwang mapagdimagsik, sa dugo at ugat magpapainit, aserong umuulo ang nakakawangis, papawi sa lumbay at mga hinagpis. Babalik ka sa pagkakaamak, taglay ka isipang sadyang busina, tanglaw sa landas na iyong pinatahak, Pilipinis mo'y gabay sa pangarap. Sulong sa kadakilaan, ito ang panawagan, ang bilang isang Pilipino, kaisipang dalisay at panahon. Pilipinismo, Pilipinismo, gabay tungo sa kadakilaan. Sa kadakilaan, mayang perlas ng silangan, may ginintuang kasaysayan, lahing pinagpala ng may kapal. Bayang sinil, ikaw ay tumindig, kalayanin paglaban at idiin, harapin ang mga manlulupig, nasa'yo ay sumaklot, laman mo'y kinabig. Ang tinang diwang mapagdimagsik, sa dugo at ugat magpapainit, aserong umuulo ang nakakawangis, papawi sa lumbay at mga hinagpis. Babalik ka sa pagkakaamak, taglay ka isipang sadyang busina, tanglaw sa landas na iyong pinatahak, Pilipinas kasaysayan, lahing pinagpala ng may kapal. Bayang sinil, ikaw ay tumindig, kalayanin paglaban at tigil. Harapin ang mga manlulupig, nasa'yo ay sumaklot, laman mo'y tinabi. Ang tinang diwang mapagtimagsik, sa dugo at ugat magpapainit. Aserong mulo ang nakakawangis, papawi sa lumbay at mga hilagpis. Babalik ka sa pagkakaamak, taglay kaisip ang sadyang busina. Tanglaw sa landas na iyong pinataak, Pilipinis mo'y gabay sa pangarap. Sulong sa kadakilaan, ito ang panawagan, ang bilang isang kaisip ang talisay at panahon. Pilipinismo, Pilipinismo, labay tungo sa kadakilaan. Sa kadakilaan, bayang perlas ng silangan, may ginintuang kasaysayan, lahing pinagpala ng may kapal. Bayang sinil, ikaw ay tumindig, kalayanin paglaban at tigil. Harapin ang mga manlulupig, nasa'yo ay sumaklot, laman mo'y tinabi. Ang tinang diwang mapagtimagsik, sa dugo at ugat magpapainit. Aserong mulo ang nakakawangis, papawi sa lumbay kapal. Bayang sinil, ikaw ay tumindig, kalayanin paglaban at tigil. Harapin ang mga manlulupig, nasa'yo ay sumaklot, laman mo'y kinabig. Ang tinang diwang mapaghimagsik, sa dugo at ugat magpapainit. Aserong mulo ang nakakawangis, papawi sa lumbay at mga hinagpis. Babalik ka sa pagkakaamak, taglay kaisip ang sadyang busina. Tanglaw sa landas na iyong pinatahak, Pilipinis mo'y gabay sa pangarap. Sulong sa kadakilaan, ito ang panawagan, ang bilang isang Pilipino, kaisipang talisay at panahon. Pilipinismo, Pilipinismo, labay tungo sa kadakilaan. Sa kadakilaan, bayang perlas ng silangan, may ginintuang kasaysayan, lahing pinagpala ng may kapal. Bayang sinil, ikaw ay tumindig, kalayanin paglaban at tigil. Harapin ang mga manlulupig, nasa'yo ay sumaklot, laman mo'y kinabig. Ang tinang diwang mapaghimagsik, sa dugo at ugat magpapainit. Aserong mulo ang nakakawangis, papawi sa lumbay at mga hinagpis. Babalik ka sa pagkakahamak, taglay kaisip ang sadyang